So we take the position that you should invest at least as much in the dedicated promotion for this content that you've made as much as for the production, so that the production and the marketing of the content should have at least the same budget. If I would have to put more weight on one or the other side, I would put even more weight on the marketing. So let's say I have 10 euros at disposal. Worst or like safe scenario would be to put 5 euros in production of great content and 5 euros in dedicated marketing for that content. I would probably even go for a 4 to 6 split. So 4 euros for production of the content and 6 euros for promotion of the content. And it always has to be, you know, appropriate to the quality content, to the kind of content that you produce. So I think with smaller sized companies, it's sometimes a challenge to invest in content because the ROI shows over a longer time. So sometimes they're kind of, you know, horizon of when the time horizon that they act towards is not so large. So that's sometimes easier for, you know, medium-sized or larger companies to invest appropriately. But yeah, that's our impression that we have, you know, that is kind of a large key to success that people miss out. Yeah, so there's two different generally different kinds of promotion. So anything that it has variable costs, like for example, putting, you know, ads on a social network or ads on a search engine, that with variable costs, that I would really consider toning down if I see it gets a lot of natural traction. But a big chunk is more like fixed cost oriented. So if I start a PR campaign, I allocate a certain budget to, let's say, I don't know, reach out to 10 journalists, or I allocate a certain budget of a person's time to try to engage with communities that might be interested in that kind of content, or I allocate time to do, you know, specific outreach to either websites that might be attractive from a search engine optimization perspective, or to individuals who have, you know, high reach in a social network that can there amplify my message. So the fixed cost allocated stuff, I mean, I have a, you know, fixed time budget plan. It's not like I can, you know, turn it off and on. So the fixed cost things, I would usually try to do that kind of stuff as early as possible because it's fixed cost. And I don't know how it pays off. There's always, you know, this wake part. You know, maybe I have time to get in touch with 10 journalists, but maybe just one turns out to be the one picking up. But I would do that up front as early as possible, and I wouldn't touch that if, you know, a piece picks up. But then at the end, you know, even if it picks up, it's proof that it is something, you know, worth getting reach. So on the variable side, that's usually kind of the more expensive kind of promotion that, you know, not everybody can and wants to afford. So that's kind of up to discussion, and you know, depends on the budget of the client or the aspirations that they have. You know, if they're happy with 10,000, 100,000 views, whatever, then it's fine. But you know, then it depends. Sometimes, you know, they want, let's say, what's the most we can get out of it? Well, probably then they put extra budget on top. So that's, you know, up to discussion. So maybe you leave it the same, maybe you lower it down, maybe you even ramp it up, the variable kind of promotion. So it depends a little bit on the targets, the situation, and the piece of content. Yeah, so I think you guys like this, the, you know, see, think, do model. The old school version of that is kind of AIDA, what we were told 20 years ago in university. So the logic is still the same. So I think if you want to sell, you need specific content to be able to sell. So that's very kind of end of the funnel content. You need to start there. If you don't have that, any great, you know, fancy, viral, you know, whatever content, what does it help? It brings tons of traffic to your website, but you don't have the, you know, if your product description is not good, what the hell? It doesn't make sense. So I would always start with the content that is around the end of the funnel and then work my way up, because, you know, no matter, you know, how big your aspirations are, in reality, there's always, you know, restrictions regarding the capacity that you have, either time or money. So you have to start somewhere. You cannot do everything at once. So I would start lower funnel where I sell and then work my way up. So I would first describe my products, my categories, or if I'm selling, you know, travel, first describe a hotel, then a destination. And then I would probably say, okay, if you're in the destination of, I don't know, somewhere, you plan a trip to, first I have a specific hotel in Ljubljana, then all hotels in Ljubljana, and then maybe, then I would start to work up funnel, what are, great day trips to do in Ljubljana if you're there. That's kind of upper funnel because you're not selling right there. But for somebody that might be looking for a hotel or might be looking for a hotel some other time, that's great information to have. So I usually start end of funnel, and then work my way up. Yeah, it's really funny because when I saw Andra's slides yesterday, I thought really like, okay, we really think in very similar terms. I have charts that are, using some other lines on top and some other things on the side, and probably things are like slightly different. But even though we never discuss these things, I think we are like very, very aligned on these topics, that I think every channel has their strength in a certain state of mind. So if I'm talking, for example, of organic social stuff, let's say your own Facebook page, for me that's something that's kind of for existing customers. It's more like a CRM tool. It's not possible to sell there directly. It's more like a relationship management tool for existing customers. And if I'm thinking of anything that's like display video or stuff like that, or even many native ads formats, it's very pushy. So it's very upper funnel. It's trying to create demand. And other channels like especially PPC, so search engine advertising, is very lower funnel. So some channels are better at creating demand, and some are better at fulfilling demand. So this is kind of the two different poles of the funnel. And I think people do not understand well enough that you cannot do everything with every of the channels, and you have to start somewhere and figure out. Also not every channel is suited for every business model, and that's also something people do not understand well enough. If I'm selling, if I'm a spinach brand in a supermarket, it doesn't make sense necessarily to do search engine advertising. I probably have to focus on stuff that's upper funnel. So all that we have to start with AdWords stuff doesn't make sense for them. But in the end, if I'm selling something where I know I have like a perfect price on a product that's very comparable, doing anything very lower funnel like price comparison engines or product comparison engines is perfect. So they just have to. I mean, there is enough people in the market with experience. You guys are thinking in similar terms, it seems. So you just have to know what you're doing, and then a lot of marketing resources can be allocated better and used more efficiently. And then that's, I think, good for clients, agencies, and everyone involved.